Oh no, my Godzilla's on fire! Well, how did this happen? I guess you're gonna have to watch my video and find out. Friendly People from 1994. This was the first album released by Nitro Records, owned by Offspring frontman Dexter Holland. All of Guttermouth's albums are vulgar, but with songs like Asshole and Bullshit, this album is definitely not for those who are easily offended. End on 9 is a rebellious punk rock anthem. I enjoy the spoken word lyric style of You're Late, and the ska style strumming on Veggicide. Almost every song on this album is memorable for one reason or another. Some people might say that some of the humor on this album hasn't aged well. This was a time period of parental advisory labels on album covers that were deemed offensive. A vulgar and aggressive album from a band like Guttermouth was definitely a rebellious middle finger towards the establishment at the time. There may be a few lyrics that haven't aged well, but there are plenty on this album that hold up just as well today as they did back then. The album formerly known as Full Length LP from 1996. Originally released in 1991 as Full Length LP, but was re-released in 1996 with additional tracks from 7-inch releases during the same era. The re-release of this album was how I first discovered Guttermouth. I was in middle school at the time and had borrowed the album from my older sister, who mostly had good taste in music. She did have a Salt and Pepper album and an Enigma album, but she also helped me discover Guttermouth and Lagwagon, so I'll give her a pass. If somebody asked me to recommend 3 albums that define punk rock music in my book, this would be one of those albums. It's fast, aggressive, and drenched with sarcasm. I love tracks like Hypocrite and 1 2 3 Slam that change pace throughout the song. Guttermouth is quite good at this, some awesome ebb and flow energy to experience in a mosh pit. Marco Polo is probably my favorite song by any artist that is under 20 seconds long. When I saw Guttermouth's name on the list of bands for the Short Music for Short People compilation years ago when it was still upcoming, I thought for sure it was going to be Marco Polo, but instead we got Don Camaro. And that's cool too. Mr. Barbecue and Lagwagon's Mr. Coffee just might have to duke it out as contenders for best Mr. songs in punk rock history. And I still hear the intro to Bruce Lee vs. the Kiss Army in my head whenever I see anything relating to martial arts on TV.
So you think your kung fu's pretty good, huh? I want to fight your brother. Him against me. Let's kung fu!
Crap, man. Look at that.
Live at the Pharmacy from 1998. Although it was recorded in 1994, the album is an audio glimpse of Guttermouth's live energy back in their early days, and the set features songs almost exclusively from their first 2 albums. Guttermouth were a band that really had to be seen live to be fully appreciated. Their frenetic energy and tempo changes don't always translate well to the studio recordings. Their studio albums sound great, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the songs really need to be heard live to hear them in their full, unrestricted glory. I highly recommend this album for those who are interested to at least hear what Guttermouth live shows were all about. The mix sounds great, and Mark's vocals are loud and clear, which can be rare for live albums. Musical Monkey from 1997. 2 songs defined this album upon its release. That's not taking anything away from the rest of the album, because the rest of it is good, but it's a statement on just how big of an impact those 2 songs had on the scene at the time. The songs went viral before social media ever exists, and without the aid of MTV or major radio networks, both of which would have wanted nothing to do with the songs based on their lyrical content. Do the Hustle was a skateboarder's anthem back in the late 90s when, for whatever reason, skateboarders were super judgmental towards aggressive inline skaters. I don't know if it was a carryover from the rivalry between skiers and snowboarders at the time, or if teenagers are just elitist jerks at that age. As are most things in life, it's probably a combination, but the song is definitely a scathing indictment towards anyone who would dare to put rollerblades on their boots and try to slide around on some handrails or curbs. Lipstick was another memorable tune with shock value that brought Guttermouth some notoriety in the scene of spiky bleached-haired shitheads in the 90s. The song is basically an anthem for guys who say things like,
"Get out of my room! Get out of here, bitch! Get out of here!"
What would happen if Fred Schneider from the B-52s tried out as a vocalist for The Doors after Jim Morrison passed away? What If is a funny tune about that hypothetical scenario. And Baker's Dozen is a comedic look at people who take the different styles or scenes in punk rock too seriously. A buddy of mine who was getting interested in freestyle rap at the time once sat in the back of my car while we were driving around listening to this album, when suddenly, without being asked for an opinion, he said, "The rhymes on this album are weak." He's not entirely wrong. Mark is a clever lyricist, but there are indeed some weak or forced rhymes on a few of the tracks. Gorgeous, from 1998. I wouldn't call the album cover gorgeous, but okay. Songs like Hit Machine and BBB make this easily the band's most aggressive album, thanks in no small part to the addition of new drummer Ty Smith, who replaced James Nunn when Nunn switched to bass following the departure of Steve Rapp. A nice place to visit reminds me of a time way back when California used to be pretty amazing. That was before the Red Hot Chili Peppers blew things up by writing an entire album's worth of songs glorifying the state. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Flea. It's all your fault. Okay, I'm kidding. We won't get into the things that politicians like Nancy Pelosi or Gavin Newsom have done to the state in recent years. But Red Hot Chili Peppers definitely didn't help to reduce our foot traffic by telling tourists how awesome our state was at the time. And I'm sorry, but that album cover has just always grossed me out. That's bad. But Highballs is a working man's tribute to Jack Daniels. That's good. Covered with Ants from 2001. She's Got the Look got brief major radio airplay out here in Los Angeles. I'll let you decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I was happy for the band. That's Life opens the album with heavy energy, even if the tempo is slowed down a little bit. Chug-a-Lug Night is a fantastic sing-along for a backyard barbecue. A different buddy of mine who was interested in freestyle rapping overheard the song Secure Horizons while we were driving around, and he thought the rhymes were pretty clever. And Cram It Up Your Ass is a delightful tune that tickles my funny bone, complete with piano noodling at the end of the song. The album feels a bit more polished than their previous releases, and my only complaint is that the album is way too short, clocking in at only 31 minutes long. Live at the House of Blues from 2003. I'm pretty sure this set was filmed in 2001, and I believe it was recorded live at the House of Blues in Anaheim, California. I could be wrong about that. Unfortunately, I no longer own the DVD that I used to have, so I don't have it in front of me to be able to verify the information. The set list includes songs all the way up through Covered with Ants. Unfortunately, the recording is not as clear and crisp as Live at the Pharmacy, and it kind of sounds like Mark throws out his vocal cords within the first two songs. However, the live footage is a fantastic insight into what a wild and out-of-crazy party Guttermouth shows were known for. Apparently the crowd got worked up into such a frenzy that the final song of their setlist, Perfect World, only appears on the CD portion of the live album because the filming equipment was damaged during the song. Good. Eat Your Face from 2004. A return to Guttermouth's signature of energetic punk rock. Party of Two, Your Table is Ready, is a scathing criticism of the two-party voting system. Surf's Up, Asshole is an attack on tourists and Inland Empire bros who invade the surf town of Huntington Beach where Guttermouth and pop punk radio call home. The little Dog Beach quote at the end has always cracked me up.
Dog Beach.
Hot dog to the head. A hot dog is a food, not a penis, so get it right or pay the price. Is one of the best song titles, over 21 words long, of all time. I mean, can you think of a song with a longer title? Let me know in the comments if you can. On the downside, the second half of the album doesn't really sink its teeth into me. I feel like a lot of the songs just have the same type of energy, the same sound, just gets kind of boring after a while. What saves this album from being ranked in my bottom tier is the fact that the 3 or 4 songs that I do enjoy on this album are actually quite memorable. And maybe because it's about my own hometown, but Surf's Up Asshole is one of my favorite Guttermouth songs of all time. Decent. Shave the Planet from 2006. It feels like the illegitimate child of Eat Your Face and Gusto. Whereas Eat Your Face is more of a straightforward punk rock album, Shave the Planet is a little bit more interesting to listen to, with Mark's rambling on various tracks and a bit more variation in musical styles similar to that of Gusto. The album art looks like somebody's first assignment in a high school digital media marketing class. but you've also got Mark's signature humor laced throughout the lyrics of every track. Flaccidism is a funny song about erectile dysfunction that would pair well with Homegrown's impotency. And aside from having a title that mocks the famous emo band, My Chemical Imbalance also pays brief homage to Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies.
I was peeing in my room, and I was staring at the wall, and I was thinking about everything, and my same-sex parents walked in and started squealing, Mark! Mike! No, Mark!
Good. Terry Yakamoto from 1996. The bass line for the title track is one of the more memorable and iconic bass lines in punk rock history. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4 songs combined into one, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the song is Guttermouth's Jesus of Suburbia, even though Mark Adkins would probably hate to hear me say that. God's Kingdom is no Viva Las Vegas, but it's still a pretty awesome tribute to Sin City. Under the Sea is a humorous take on a song from the 90s kids show Barney. I love the fact that Guttermouth don't take music or themselves seriously. And speaking of taking themselves seriously, I still remember the funny look on my old guitar instructor's face when I came in for my first lesson, and he was excited to teach me some classic rock riffs, but I came in with whiskey. I'm talking about the Guttermouth song, I mean. I was only 15 after all. Weed would have been a lot easier for me to get at the time. And the inside album art featured a set of instructions that taught you how to turn your plastic Godzilla toy into a fire-breathing menace that even Beavis would approve of. I still have my childhood Godzilla toy that was charred by trying to replicate those instructions. I sure got some great footage for my skate video though. Gusto from 2002. This is the release that you are all here for, admit it. I know you're all wondering, what's he gonna say about Gusto? It's such a polarizing album in the band's career. Some people love it, a lot of people hate it. Even Guttermouth singer Mark Adkins seems to look back on the album with a little bit of embarrassment. And I can understand why. They did some experimentation with voice tuning software on this album, and looking back, I can see why some people are not fans of that approach. It's definitely not what we were familiar with as fans of Guttermouth. However, it was a groundbreaking new technology at the time, so I don't really blame them for trying it out. I'm good with the experimentation for just one album. Now, as a punk rock album, Gusto is terrible. If you're a fan of punk rock Guttermouth, yeah, you're gonna hate this album. However, as a pop punk album, Gusto is actually quite enjoyable. Underneath the poppy exterior, this is some of the band's most lyrically humorous and musically diverse material. Pee in the Shower and Footlong are hilarious love songs that I can only see coming from a band like Guttermouth. And I love the dark, synth-wavy B-52s vibe of My Town. My Girlfriend is a catchy tune that made it on to Punkorama 7. And how can you not laugh at the album cover with a cartoon dog sniffing a man's crotch and thinking, Gusto? There you have it, my Guttermouth tier list. Hopefully I didn't make you too angry with my placement of Gusto. I normally don't include live albums, but I included the live albums for Guttermouth because, as I mentioned earlier, Guttermouth really is a band that you have to see live in order to fully appreciate their music. The live albums are a great time capsule for people to try to experience that energy for themselves. And as of this video, Mark is still out there doing live shows with Guttermouth. Although the music might not have the same energy as when the music was new and the fan base was young, Mark is still an influential figure in the history of punk rock music and still knows how to put on a good live show. I highly recommend checking out a live Guttermouth show if or when you have the opportunity. I want to thank you for checking out my Guttermouth tier list, and I'd love to hear what you think. Are you a fan of Gusto, or do you think my tier list is bad and that I should feel bad? I'd love to hear your answer to 2 questions. Question 1. What was your introduction to Guttermouth? It could be an album, it could be a song on a compilation, or maybe you came across them live at a festival. I would love to hear how you first discovered Guttermouth. And question 2, what's your favorite album from Guttermouth? Write your answer down below in the comments. And if you liked my video, you can really help me out by smashing the like button and clicking the subscribe. It tells me that people like what I'm doing and that I should continue doing it. And it tells YouTube that my videos are awesome and they should be shown to more people. And you just might be rewarded with notifications when I release new videos. Everybody wins. So why not smash the like button and then click subscribe with the notification bell. The power is yours, so use it. And watch my next video to keep the entertainment rolling.